This is the StealthCast.
Let's do this.
Welcome everyone to the StealthCast. I'm your host Nicky. It is Monday, the 28th of September, episode 3. Thank you all for joining me. Hopefully your Monday doesn't suck terribly badly. I have 2 tests as you're listening to this. Probably taking them right now. I should actually be studying, but I'm taking a break to do my podcast and play Destiny, and this break has lasted probably 4 times longer than the amount of time that I've been studying, so those tests are going to go pretty well. It's so stupid, some of the general education classes that I have to take. I complain about them all the time on my stream, and I guess on the podcast, we complain about it a lot. Why in the world do I have to memorize the European countries? There's just no point to that. When in my life, in today's age of all this technology, am I going to need to know off the top of my head without access to a smartphone or computer or laptop or tablet, off the top of my head, when am I going to have to name every European country and tell you where it is? Probably never. And I would be willing to accept the time, if it ever comes, if someone's ever holding a gun to my head and said to me, name all 36 or whatever European countries and point them on this map, or I'm going to shoot you, I'm willing to accept that that person will shoot me because I'm not going to be able to name them. I'm willing to accept that because I would rather spend my time streaming and playing games and stuff, because it's more likely that I'm going to live stream a game and want to be good at it than it is someone's going to come up to me with a gun and shoot me in the back of the head if I can't name all the countries. I feel like that's a better way to spend my time growing my stream, making videos, or actually learning about something that I'm actually going to use, like audio or video or filmmaking. I've been reading recently the cinematography subreddit, and they've done some cool stuff that I didn't know about in some action shots for TV, and like those first-person point-of-view cameras. Apparently, the way they do that, the first-person point-of-view cameras, whenever they're looking into a mirror, you might see this during a few scary movies. If they are filming the mirror, it's actually a hole in the wall, and the actor's on the other side doing everything, and their 2 production assistants, like, being the actor's arms around the side, or there's this one, I forget what TV show it was. In the first season of this TV show, there was a guy who was looking into the mirror into a hole in the wall, and he pulled a mask over his face, and this is from a point of view perspective, looking into a mirror. I use air quotes right there, into a mirror, and there was a production assistant that pulled like a black cloth over the camera lens as the guy in the mirror, which is actually a hole in the wall, pulled his ski mask off. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's the stuff I want to learn. If you could just, instead of 6 hours at school, sit me on the computer for 6 hours and tell me to just Google shit and read Wikipedia, because that's just so much more interesting and so much more relevant. All right, rant over. Let's talk about Destiny, because I don't want to spend the entire podcast ranting about the memorization of countries. Oh, it's so pointless. I've been playing Destiny since it came out, pretty much non-stop, and it is a very fun game. My opinions of it changed as I continued playing on the game, and I'll explain that in a second, but it seemed like Destiny got some pretty low reviews from, I guess, respected game critics. I think it was IGN, I don't know for certain, but there was some game critic that gave it the same score as Surgeon Simulator. Not saying Surgeon Simulator is a bad game, it's kind of awesome, so I understand why Destiny got the same score as it, but most people saw the scores for Destiny were pretty low and may have opted out buying the game, even though the first day the game was being sold, I believe they made back their $500 million that they spent developing it. Bungie spent $500 million developing Destiny, and they made that money back from the first day of sales. Good job to them. And the reason it got such a low reviews, I'm not defending and saying it's the greatest game ever. I'm saying if you experience it like the reviewers experienced it, and by that I mean you play levels 1 through 20, you sink 20 hours into it, it's not the game for you. If you don't have time to invest in a game, Destiny is absolutely not for you. Levels 1 through 20 were boring. They were atrocious. The story was piss poor. You could wake me up in the middle of the night and give me a pen and paper, say, Nicky, write a story, and I could write a story better than Destiny. It was atrociously bad. Now, that's not the entire story that was presented there in the first levels 1 through 20 of the game, and I'm talking about your character levels. But if that's all you're going to experience, if you don't have time to experience the raid, which requires you to maybe put in, I don't know, I'm going to throw out a number, 100 hours into the game before you can even attempt it. Because that raid was intense, and that's what brought me up in Destiny's score. The raid is basically 6 high-level people go into this super long mission with multiple bosses, puzzles, a stealth section, and you need the perfect team coordination. Everyone's got to have good armor. Everyone's got to have good guns. And the reviewers obviously don't have time to get to that part of the game. So Destiny got low reviews because, well, people don't have time to spend on it. And if you're not the kind of person who can invest into it, that's not the game for you. And I think it was a little misleading, their marketing. I don't think Bungie ever called it an MMO, but that's what it is. People kept saying it's Halo and Borderlands. And of course, it's going to be like Halo. A Picasso painting looks like a Picasso painting. A Bungie game is going to play like a Bungie game. So duh, it looks like Halo. Borderlands, I found a little misleading because Borderlands had a phenomenal story. It was kind of like a comedy, you know. It's not a tearjerker. It's not revolutionary like BioShock Infinite or like The Last of Us. It was a good story, Borderlands, but it was funny. There's not really any value to it, no life lessons, but I think it was entertaining at least. So when they say it's Halo, yeah, it's a Bungie game. Duh, it looks like Halo. It's half Borderlands. No, Borderlands had a story to it, and I guess the part of Borderlands that Destiny took was the co-op. And let's get into the co-op. It's repetitive. It's unnecessarily repetitive. The Vanguard missions are strikes, and there's like 8 different strikes, but for one mission, you need to do 25 strikes, so you're repeating the same ones over and over. And it's just, people are saying this is not all the content. Bungie is making this game last 10 years. All the content you are playing today is not necessarily the entire game. And what I say in response to that, this isn't a quote from me, I read this off the Destiny subreddit. The promise of content tomorrow does not excuse the lack of content today. And I highly agree with that. That's why my review, my score, I guess, my numerical score of Destiny changed from a 7 to an 8 when the raid came out, because that gave me something else to do that was tough, and it wasn't boring as all hell. The strikes are boring for any... If you have any sort of skill in a first-person shooter, do a strike on your level. You're level 20, do a level 20 strike. It's just... And then you have to do it like 20 more times to get all the stuff, all the rewards you want from it. It's not fun. PvP, the Crucible, is also very lacking. And don't worry, I'm going to get to the good parts of the game. I'm not just going to hate on it. Let's get this out of the way first. It is a good game. I understand everyone's viewpoint on it. I understand why I think it's repetitive. Hell, I think it's repetitive, but I still think it's a good game. I'm going to get to that in a second. PvP is pretty lackluster, I'm going to have to say, because there are 4 game modes. If you compare that to The Last of Us, which is absolutely not a multiplayer-focused game, absolutely not. It has 3 game modes. Destiny has 4, on the weekends 5. That's pretty lackluster right there, when we've been spoiled with, I'm going to use Call of Duty. Oh no, don't compare things to Call of Duty. It's a good set. It's a very, very, very well selling game, Call of Duty. It sells very well. And I feel like it got a lot of us accustomed to the model of a single player component, a co-op component, and an expansive multiplayer. Look at all the game modes they announced for Advanced Warfare. They had Momentum, they had Uplink, which is a new game mode. They have Hardpoint, they have Capture the Flag, they have Search and Destroy. Obviously, they're going to have Domination, Deathmatch, Kill Confirmed. There's going to be at least a dozen game modes on launch. And there are not enough maps in PvP. Not all the maps are available in each game mode. You can see where it gets a little repetitive. And I know I've sunk a lot of time into it. Maybe if you didn't have a lot of time to sink into a game, then you wouldn't find it as repetitive. But the point is, it doesn't have enough content on launch to justify a $60 purchase. Not even a $50 or $40 purchase, I would say. And I spent $99 on it for the DLC coming later. The good parts of the game, though, I do like Bungie's support. They're very, very good at communicating with the player base. Very, very good at letting you know what the patches are going to be, what they're working on, what they're thinking of changing, what they're adding in the future. They have very, very good communication between the publisher and the player base. I like that a lot. Now, I did say PvP is repetitive, but it is fun as long as you don't, play 8 hours. I couldn't sit down and play 8 hours of it a day, whereas at the beginning of The Last of Us, I could sit down and play 8 hours of it a day. It's pretty. The story was pretty bad. I hope they improve that in the future. But there are a lot of cool theories going around as to where they're going to take us in the story. Oh, and speaking of new content in the future, just leaked Sunday was a picture. Someone's game glitched up, and it was a big map of Destiny. And they couldn't click on anything, but they could scroll over it and see the details of it. And every mission and raid was on there, even ones that weren't released and ones you cannot see if the game didn't glitch up for you like this. I'll link it down in the description. I saw it on the Destiny subreddit. It leaked like 2 more raids and more missions and all this cool stuff. And I understand they're trying to make it a game that lasts 10 years. But again, the lack of content today is not excused by additional content in the future. Anyway, moving on. This is something that's really been it's really stood out to me on my stream, because my stream is my business and I want to see it grow, and it's grown pretty big in the past 11. I've almost been streaming for a year, 11 months so far. It's been growing pretty well, but I made the switch from The Last of Us to Destiny because The Last of Us on Destiny's release was 15 months old, and I've been streaming it for 11 months. You can understand why I was tired of The Last of Us. This goes back to, The Last of Us is not a bad game. It's just I sunk so much time into it in the time span of 15 months that I just didn't want to play it anymore. I had every game down to a formula, and I could see the maps in my head perfectly. Every blade of grass, garbage can, interrogation box, supply box. I saw that in my dreams. I played too much of that game, and it was time to move on. So I made the switch to Destiny. And even though I warned people ahead of time, even though I said we're going to be playing a lot of Destiny on this stream now because it's something new and it's something different and I want to try it out, a lot of people were surprised and demand that I go back to The Last of Us. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm complaining here. I and all the other content creators on the internet, we are not entitled to viewers at all. I am not saying if you watch me play The Last of Us, you sure as fuck better watch me play Destiny. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is I want the audience to understand that at some point, people move on. Streamers move on. We want to play different games. People change. There are more games out there than The Last of Us. And I wanted to play Destiny. If you're not interested in Destiny, then that's fine. If you were only coming for The Last of Us, then that's fine. But it baffles me that people are surprised that I want to play a different game after playing The Last of Us for 15 months. It's so long. I played through the story like 8 times. I beat it on Grounded twice, 2.5 times actually. I probably played. If you look at my supply rate and survivor game time, it adds up to 1 month, and that doesn't even count the third game mode, interrogation. 1 month of in-game game time. I'm not talking about playing it like every day for a month. I'm talking about 1 month of in-game game time at least. And that was the last time I checked, which wasn't, when I stopped playing it. So I know I'm not entitled to viewers. I don't expect everyone who watches me play The Last of Us will come over and watch me play Destiny. Maybe they're not interested in that game, will go on to somewhere else. And it is partially my fault for making everyone expect The Last of Us all the time, because that's all I streamed for 11 months. That was it. Every now and then I go play Black Ops 2 because I love that game, or I'd stream something random like Catherine, but it was mostly The Last of Us, The Last of Us, The Last of Us. And I built my audience around that game. So it's understandable that that's all that they want to watch. But people do move on, and I keep the stream equation the same. There's me and my personality, whether you like it or not. It's still there. It hasn't changed. There's my production, my green screen, my hopefully top-notch audio. I try to do the best that I can on this. The gameplay, I try to make every game I stream a game that I'm highly competent at, or at least better than average. Something that I would be proud to show someone else's gameplay, not me like, oh, you know, I'm just trying out this game for free. Oh, I got 2 hours to spill and I've never played this game before. Let's download this and see what it is. You know, I'll do that occasionally. Like I played Road Not Taken. I picked up that game pretty fast. I learned the elements of the puzzles and all that fun stuff. It's a roguelike puzzle game free for PlayStation Plus on PS4. I'd recommend trying it out. Pretty cool. But for the most part, the equation of my streams has changed minimally. There's me hosting it, my personality. Hopefully people like that. There's the production, the green screen, the mic, all that stuff. There's the game is pretty much the only element that's changed. The Last of Us, Destiny. That's it. Production, gameplay quality. I still try to do the best I can. Production, gameplay quality, my personality, all remain the same. The game changed, and that's caused at least a 50% reduction in view count for me. Which is, you have to find a balance as a streamer, even in any sort of entertainment medium. You have to find some sort of balance between what you want to do and what your fans want, what your audience wants. Let's say, for example, Metallica all of a sudden is like, you know what? Pop music is pretty popular nowadays. I think we're going to start doing that. I bet you shit would hit the fan. There would be riots in the streets. I don't know how much people like Metallica, but it's similar to me. You know, if Metallica went from, I don't know, metal to rock and roll or something, just like normal rock and roll alternative, then I'm not actually sure entirely. Does Metallica classify themselves as metal? I'm going to go on Wikipedia real quick. This is the shit they don't teach you at school. Is it just wikipedia.com/Metallica? We're doing this live. No, it's not. Google. We're doing it live. Fuck it. Let's do it live. 1 second. What does Metallica classify themselves as here? Oh, it's n.wikipedia.org/wiki/Metallica. Heavy metal, thrash metal. Okay, so I pretty much got that right. I don't listen to a lot of Metallica, all right? Give me a break. I know who they are, though. So, if they went from heavy metal to rock and roll, that's not too big of a change. They'd still lose some of their audience. Whereas if they went from heavy metal to pop, I think people would kind of go insane. Even if they did pop super well. I know some of you guys can be like, oh, all pop music on the radio is trash. Let's just work with me for a second here. Even if they did pop super well, even if their production stayed the same, even if they were still Metallica, but they now do pop, there would be riots in the streets. Similar to me, I feel like Destiny isn't too big of a change from The Last of Us. They're both shooters. Yeah, one's in space and one's in a post-apocalyptic world, but they're both heavily marketed to PS4. I thought that would retain the viewership. You know, it's not too big of a change, but there's still going to be an audience loss there. And when it comes down to it, Destiny is what I want to play. And I do have to appeal to my audience, but I also have to appeal to myself. I cannot play The Last of Us for 15 more months. I've playing it for 15 months, guys. I can't play it for 30 months. It's a great game. I love that game. It's phenomenal. But I've had my fair share. And I want to get the message out that I wish people understood that more. And it's time for me to play something else. I could play The Last of Us and pull over 100 viewers a night easily. I was doing that every night. Or I could play Destiny and get lucky if I pop 50. I'd rather play Destiny and pop 50 because I am actually legitimately enjoying it. And my friends are playing it also. I like to hang out with them. I'm enjoying the game. And I feel like I would rather play Destiny and be like, yeah, this is fun. Let's go do the raid on hard. Hard plus. Not really, there's no hard plus, but eventually we'll beat the Vault of Glass on hard. I would rather do that than play The Last of Us and have more viewers, but have me constantly complaining, we won another game. I'll seriously go 15-0 in The Last of Us and be like, all right, let's do it again. Let's get them again. You know, it's just, And I was complaining a lot about the game, that I was bored of it. And apparently people want to watch me complain about The Last of Us while playing it rather than watch me play Destiny. The point is, I want to enjoy gaming. I want to enjoy streaming. And there's a balance with that and what people want to watch. And just because I'm not completely on the side of what people want to watch doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. You know, I just want to experience other games. And I'm not saying I'm completely retired from The Last of Us. I'm going to scrap it forever. No, I might go back eventually. Give me some time away from it. You know, distance makes the heart fonder, or whatever that cheesy saying is. That I don't think anyone's ever used that saying to games. I think it's usually used long distance dating, isn't it? Yeah. Just let's repurpose it for this. So like I've been saying, Destiny, pretty good game. I really like how they integrated the weapon system. You can take your super powerful PvE weapon that you earned into PvP and not be insanely overpowered. That's why they're going to have the Iron Banner, where your insanely overpowered PvE weapon is going to carry over to PvP in the Iron Banner, where everyone else is using overpowered weapons. So I guess it'll be balanced that way. Because if everything's overpowered, then nothing is overpowered, as the legend 402, former community manager of Infinity Ward, once said. If everything is overpowered, then nothing is overpowered. And another thing I like about Destiny is it's such a rewarding game. You can see how many exotic legendary weapons you have. You can see your defense, how much damage you'll do. You can see your progress bar. You can see how many motes of light you have. See, that's what I love about the game. You can see how good you are at certain things. Your intellect, your discipline, your strength. I wish I would be a lot more motivated in real life if they would just have an experience bar. If I could tell how well I'm going to do on the test, like, oh, Nicky, your intelligence on geography is high enough for you to get a B on the test, and it'd be like, sweet. But I don't know, I could sit around, and I'm sure it's happened to all of us who have gone to school for more than 5 minutes. You studied 12 hours every night for this test, and you get a B, and you're like, what the hell, I studied 12 hours. Meanwhile, you study not at all for a test, and you get an A. Like, where is the time? There's no time conversion to success or ability in that area. Whereas in an MMO or an RPG, okay, I'm going to spend 5 hours grinding my attack or mining something, and then my attack or mining is going to go up, and I can directly see how much better it's getting. If we could just implement that in some sort of HUD in real life, I'd be a lot more motivated to study. If you could just tell me, Nicky, your intelligence just went up by 5 for studying an hour. Yes. Nicky, if you punch this rock for 10 minutes, your strength will go up by 10. Yes, I'm going to work out a lot more. I don't think punching rocks actually is a... Yeah. That's not a good way to work out. Don't do that, guys. Nicky, if you study for 10 minutes, see, studying, I guess, does make you do better on tests, but I don't know how much, right? If I go play Destiny, Nicky, go get 6 Ascendant Shards and you can upgrade your armor and you'll have 30 more defense. I'm like, all right, I see some value in that. And I guess it's that instant gratification thing. You know, you need to see what you're getting as you get it. I think we're all kind of trained. I want this immediately. I want Ascendant Shards so I can up my defense. I want to work out, but I don't know when I'm going to get stronger. There's not that instant gratification, so you're not as motivated to do so. Anyway, so yeah, Destiny in the later game is really rewarding. Levels 1 through 20 is just a boring as fuck tutorial with a story that was absolutely terrible. But past that is when the real fun begins. What people forgot to say is that this game is Halo and Borderlands minus story plus World of Warcraft. And if I actually knew that beforehand, I might have stayed away from this game, because I know that when I play games like World of Warcraft, I've never played World of Warcraft, but RPGs, MMOs, when I play those kinds of games, no one ever sees me again. It's been 2 weeks since the last episode of the StealthCast. I always get sucked into these, but it's because they're so rewarding. After I beat the Vault of Glass raid, 10 hours, that one mission took us 10 hours. Felt amazing when we beat it. I felt so rewarded. In fact, I did get a bunch of cool rewards too. Maybe if I got a candy bar every time I got an A on a test, you know? Or some chatter white. Give me some white armor for getting an A on a test. Yeah. Oh, that'd be sweet. You know, and there's that whole thing with the legendary engrams. If you don't play Destiny, I'll break it down for you. There's the standard progression of weapon rarity. There's white, green, blue, purple, orange. Sometimes if you get a purple engram, it could get one weapon worse and turn blue. In fact, 60% of the time or something like that, someone actually found the percentages. It's about 60% of the time, if you got a purple engram, you get a blue, which is one worse. And only like 30% of the time you get a purple, 1% exotic, and the other 9% could be green. If you were really that unlucky, I guess. I don't know. I think there was some sort of distribution like that. But anyway, people were always complaining, I got a purple engram, but a blue weapon. Well, my response to that is it's just that much more satisfying when your purple engram turns into a purple. I guess it's that cliche saying. What is it? Happiness minus reality equals... No, it's expectations minus happiness equals reality. Right? Expectation minus happiness. No, it's reality minus expectations equals happiness, right? Reality. If your reality is good and your expectations are low, then you're happier. Yes, that is correct. Reality minus expectations equals happiness. I guess at that point, if this were real math, reality equals happiness plus expectations? That if my expectations are really high and then my happiness is really high, then in reality I'm really happy. Oh man, this isn't a math class. This is the StealthCast. And let's get into some news. I was looking through r/not the onion, and I saw two articles, one of which I thought, wait, what the fuck? And then the other one I saw, I was like, wait a minute. Maybe the first article is kind of plausible. The first one, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 writer hired to predict the future of warfare. I know they did a lot of research on Black Ops 2, trying to make it a realistic future scenario where I believe China had these precious stones and Menendez and some old guy from Vietnam and flashbacks to Reznov from World War II and some horses and deserts and stuff. That's what I remember from the Black Ops 2 campaign. That's the only COD campaign that I haven't played through twice, aside from the Ghost one. I didn't even pick that one up. So I was like, no. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 writer hired to predict the future of warfare. How can they even think this is accurate? Even if they did all of their research, it was still a fantasy world created back in Black Ops 2. And then I saw a wearable selfie drone that launches off your wrist. The title of the article is actually a wearable drone that launches off your wrist to take your selfie. Looks like this product's still in development, but the funny thing is, it's a quadcopter coming in the future, kind of like Black Ops 2's quad rotor that rained down grenades and stuff. This one's not going to shoot down explosives and bullets. This one actually is just going to take your picture. And I don't know Dave Anthony, who's the writer from Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I don't know him personally. I don't know his credentials for predicting the future of warfare and the technologies that other countries are developing. I don't know. He may very well be a very good person to predict the future of warfare. Like, who is it? Is it the FBI who hired him? It's an international organization. Maybe he does have the credentials to do it. Sure as hell is better than me. He wrote the Black Ops 2 story. The main thing is I want to talk about the drone that launches off your wrist to take your selfie and not the Black Ops 2 thing. Because the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus came out, and yeah, there's all that bending stuff about it. But what really got to me, what I've really been noticing since I go to college a lot, what I really wanted to talk about was the prevalence of smartphones these days scares the shit out of me. And I'm not talking about like, yeah, everyone has one. I'm talking about everyone has one, everyone's fucking using it 24/7. I was sitting in the main lobby of my school. We have basically this main building, and everyone's kind of walking through it, and there's restaurants and the arcade, and there's a library nearby, all that stuff. And I was sitting there watching a lot of people walk by, and it just baffled me the number of people who had their headphones in or an iPhone in their hand. Even just an iPhone. The point, everyone's got a smartphone, but man, iPhones, everyone's got one of those. Or an Android, whatever, it's mostly iPhones. And it's not the fact that Apple is taking over the world. It's that it kind of scares me that all these people are so possessed with their phones. And I was talking about this on the stream the other day. It was kind of a joke. I had this movie idea where I'm a guy, obviously. My name's Nicky, the host of the StealthCast, the most prestigious podcast on the internet. And I am the last person in the world who can walk between the real world and the internet world. And what I mean by that, how this idea came about, was that when I'm on the internet, I'm on the internet. When I'm checking Twitter, I'm checking Twitter. I'm not talking to anyone. I don't check Twitter on my phone. I don't check Facebook on my phone. You know, when I'm streaming, I'm streaming. When I'm on the internet, I'm on the internet. When I'm in real life, I'm in real life. I pretty much never have headphones in. Right? I'm never looking at my phone unless it's a text from my mom at 3 a.m. being like, "Where are you at?" And I'll be like, "Fucking bitches, mom." Not really. I don't do anything at 3 a.m. I sleep. My life isn't that glamorous. Anyway, I'm never on my phone. So when I'm doing something in real life, when I'm in class, I'm in class. Or sleeping. Admittedly, half the time sleeping. When I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. When I'm paying attention in class, I'm paying attention. And when I'm on the internet, I'm on the internet. That's what I'm trying to say. And it seems like with smartphones and tablets and all these mobile devices nowadays, I sound like such an old person. I'm 19 though. No one is ever disconnected from that anymore. Everyone's always on Twitter, on Facebook. I mean, Japan can blow up right now. I hope Japan doesn't blow up. They got some cool stuff over there. That's where Smash is coming from. Nintendo's over there. Don't blow up Japan. But Japan could blow up right now, and I would know 30 minutes from now at the latest. That's how connected the world is, and everyone's on their phones all the time. And it just scares me that there are a lot of people who can't make the distinction between reality and going to a restaurant and hanging out with your friends. When I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm hanging out with my friends. When I'm on a Olive Garden date, oh my God, breadsticks, so good. When I'm on an Olive Garden date, when I'm eating breadsticks, I'm eating breadsticks. Admittedly, I am gaming a lot, and when I'm gaming, I'm gaming. And I feel like I'm one of the few people left in the world who can make that separation. So my movie idea, going back to that, was that I'm this guy, right, who can walk between the two worlds. And everyone in the chat was like, "Nicky, that's the Matrix." And I knew it was the Matrix. I was redoing the Matrix in like a slightly different movie idea that I'm not going to make because I'd totally be ripping off the Matrix. There would be some pretty awesome bullet time in there. There would be, my name would be Neo instead of Nicky. That's why I said my name is Nicky. And that, you can't make that movie idea, but that just was kind of a funny idea for me. So the point is, I feel like it would do the world a lot of good if there were more people like me who could walk between the two worlds rather than existing in one. And I'm not saying we should all exist in the real world all the time. No smartphones, no computers, no nothing, no games. I love games. No, bad idea. Terrible idea. There's definitely a place for technology. The fact that the news can travel so quickly is awesome. The fact that I could, assuming they're awake at 9 p.m., can call anyone that I've met. Well, I don't have everyone that I met's phone number, but everyone that's worth calling. I call any of them right now. We could have a conversation rather than having to drive over to their house. Technology is awesome. Just it's taking it a little too far. And I'm relating that to, it all wraps around, don't worry. I'm relating that to the wearable drone that launches off your wrist to take your selfie. We taking this selfie thing too far? I mean, selfie sticks, yeah. But now there's a drone. No, it's just technology improving. But wow, people take pictures of themselves so much. There's a market for a drone to do that for them. I don't know if there is a market for it, actually. How much would this thing cost? If it was like, I don't know. If it was too expensive, I think people are cool with taking their selfies the normal way. In fact, now that I think about it, people don't put a lot of production value into their selfies. There are some people who cannot understand white balance. If you're not a photographer, if you've never taken a photography class, if you don't know anything about color or light, let me break it down for you, okay? I want to save the world of this fucking monstrosity that is yellow pictures. You've probably seen the pictures where someone takes a selfie and everything looks a little tinted yellow. And that's because they didn't do the white balance on their camera. Now, we have things in our eyes, I believe it's the iris, that automatically changes our perception of white balance. So indoor lighting is more red and outdoor lighting is more blue. You may not have known that because your eyes automatically adjust for that. But your camera is not that smart. So there's a thing called white balance. What you have to do, easiest way to do this, take a white piece of paper or a napkin or whatever, point your camera at it, and if the white balance is on auto, which I believe it is for a lot of smartphones, maybe I don't have a smartphone. That's why I'm saying I'm like the one who can walk between two worlds. I'm Neo, bitches. If you take your phone camera and point it at a well-lit white object and then bring it back up, the white balance will be fine. So if you're taking a picture indoors, your camera, especially if you just took a picture outdoors, might make everything look yellower. So adjust your white balance. If you're taking a picture outdoors, things can look too blue because the natural sunlight is blue. It's color temperature. So you have to adjust your white balance for that also. And again, pointing at a white object, having the auto balance fix that works too. Just a pro tip for you guys. I don't know. I feel like if we're taking so many selfies and pictures nowadays, we might as well know something about photography and composition. Here's another thing about, oh my God, headroom, bitches. Unless the subject of the picture is something above your head and you're just trying to get your head in it, you need to understand that cutting off your chin in a picture looks fucking weird. So when you look at pictures, right? Go ahead, take a picture of yourself. Stop the podcast, take pictures of yourself. Do one with your head cut off, just a little bit of your hair cut off, and do another one with your chin cut off. The one with your hair cut off, or your forehead, looks acceptable. The one with your chin cut off is like, whoa, what the fuck is happening here? That just does not look right. So keep that in mind. Basic composition, ladies and gentlemen, 2/3 rule. I mean, if you're going to do anything, do it well. That's why I don't stream too many games. You know, I stream Destiny, feel like I'm pretty good at that. Stream The Last of Us, feel like I'm pretty good at that. If you're going to do something, do it well. You know why I don't skydive? Because I don't want to invest the time in doing that well. Man, skydiving is expensive. I was researching that today just because I felt like it. And I feel like it's more likely one day that I'm going to need to skydive than name all the European countries. I'm still so salty about that. Anyway, you need a lot of stuff skydiving. There's like a backup parachute or something. You need to know stuff about terminal velocity and technique and how to land and all that fun stuff. It's not just jumping out of a plane. I'm not one to speak on this, but that stuff's it. And anyway, if you're going to do something, do it well. If you're going to take a selfie, please learn to adjust your white balance. Don't cut off your chin unless again, the subject is not you and you're trying to get your eyes in the picture or whatever. Oh, and filters. Why? Why the filters? I'm not even going to get started on that one. Anyway, let's close out the show. Thank you all for joining me on this episode of the StealthCast. I've been your host, Nicky. Be sure to check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/StealthShampoo. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/StealthShampoo. That's the other half of this podcast where I'm always hanging out and talking. Stream a lot of video games over there, twitch.tv/StealthShampoo. Check me out on YouTube. You're probably watching this on YouTube. And subscribe if you want to see more StealthCast. Be sure to check out the playlist for some previous episodes. All these links will be down below the video player. Facebook, facebook.com/StealthShampoo. Check out all those social media links. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you guys some other time. I've been your host, Nicky.
Legs!